What's up, guys? How's it going? Hope you guys are having a great week so far. My name is Jamie Leonard, here with TCG Unlimited. And this is not a stream, believe it or not. This is just a quick video I wanted to put out for you guys, so hope you guys don't mind. I played this game, and honestly, I should have lost this game. I mean, it was basically 3-on-1 for the longest time. And then things just kind of started swinging in our direction. But I wanted to show you guys this game. As you guys have known, we've tried to play a Brea Artifacts deck. It never works out. We always kind of get land screwed, and it snowballs in this game too. There's a little bit of a time where we get stuck at 3 land and nothing doing. And the only difference maker is this turn 1 that we're gonna have here. So I'm gonna play the replay while we record, and I'm gonna just kind of go through what my thought process was on a lot of this. If my voice sounds a little weird, don't worry about it. I'm trying to talk normal, but both of my ears are stopped up from sinus drainage, so I don't know if I'm talking normally or not. So I do apologize. That's also the main reason why we didn't have a stream this past weekend. We will be back to normal, because at least I feel like I'm talking normally, but I could be wrong. But we hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get right into it. So again, here we are. We're going to be playing our Brea Artifacts again. We actually get to go first. So here's the hand. I'm looking at this, and I'm not getting excited. I mean, we have 2 mana and then a Strip Mine. The difference maker is the Chromatic Lantern and the Aether Vial. Now, granted, the Aether Vial doesn't really do anything with this hand, which is weird enough in and of itself. But that's fine, because we're going to quickly make up the difference here. But just keep in mind that this Aether Vial is going to come in clutch, the Chromatic Lantern is going to come in clutch, and this Tezzeret is MVP. So let's go. Alright, so turn 1, we're just going to go ahead and throw down our fetch, go get our scrub, throw down the Aether Vial, nothing special. We drew into our Baleful Strix, which is nice. It's going to give an extra draw. These guys were awfully nice about a lot of this. It's basically just, landfall triggers, do a bunch of weird things with big guys. It's typical Gitrog, nothing special. And then this. The guy was not playing a competitive deck, but I liked it. It did some big plays, and it made me really have to play carefully. There were a lot of times I had to play around a lot of the things that he was doing. Now keep in mind, here we drew our Elesh Norn. The Aether Vial is actually going to get up to the point where we're going to drop the Elesh Norn, which is going to be one of the biggest plays that I think we could have made. Again, Aether Vial is going to trigger. We're going to go up to 2. We don't really see anything here, but we're basically just going to go ahead and drop down the Chromatic Lantern. On the next turn, we're going to go up to 3. The plan at this point was just use Aether Vial, get this out. It's just going to give us recursion for if we have to sacrifice Baleful Strix to a chump block, or if we have to sacrifice it to Brea. Why do I keep... Never mind. But swings in at the Gitrog, which is normal here. Gitrog is very aggressive. They don't quite know how we're going to play yet. I make the slight... potentially the worst decision that we could make here. I let the Ancient Tomb stay in play probably longer than we should have. We should have probably taken it out the turn before, but that would have meant no Baleful Strix, or that would have meant no Chromatic Lantern, and I didn't want to go a turn down. But we are going to take out the Ancient Tomb here. We use a Strip Mine, destroy the Ancient Tomb, use the Aether Vial, put this in play. Again, tap down for Brea. Otherwise, a very good turn. Now, it kind of could be a questionable play, especially letting this guy kind of go up tempo, because he's got a lot of mana guys that he's going to be dropping very quickly, and things could get out of hand very quickly. However, we did a very good job at minimizing that. As you see, he destroys the Chromatic Lantern, but that's fine. We're going to get it back with this. We don't really have like a good play next turn, so it's not that big of a deal. What I like about this deck here is it has so much like recursion for like the very good spells. Like they all, well, basically this guy and this guy both spend most of the game just killing Breya over and over again. It was basically at that point I said, okay, you got Breya, she's going to stay gone for a little while. Again, it wasn't really here that I decided I was going to go like crazy kind of plays. I just want to get the Chromatic Lantern back. We'll drop it next turn. The thought process was basically at this point just try to play smart. Try to play efficient, just trying to get mana on the board because they're, everybody's ramping except me. All three decks did a very good job at drawing a bunch of cards. We, as you see, he recurs, gets his destruction spell back, kills the enchantment, which is fine. That works. I should have shot this down with Breya potentially before I did anything else. But I did make the mistake of thinking that I would be fine for a turn. What I honestly should have done was let Breya go to the grave, use this to get back Breya, but we didn't really think about it. The sneak attack really doesn't do a whole lot here. He has one good play with the sneak attack in a couple turns. But for the most part, the sneak attack really doesn't come in play much. As you see, the Chromatic Lantern does come back down. We're up to 5 ticks on the Aether Vial, which is going very nicely the way we want it to. Beast Whisper, which is going to come down. The Arcbound Ravager. At this point, I forgot that I wanted to say like this thing just said sack a creature, but it actually says sack an artifact, so I forgot. So I was thinking, like, the next turn we're going Toxic Deluge, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to account for the fact that he can just sack all of these and attempt to survive. But that's not going to work because it is artifact. He has no other artifact. Sacking it to itself would defeat the purpose. So for the most part, we were safe. At this point, the most opportune thing here was just Toxic Deluge, get all the mana guys off the field, slow them down, get the Gitrog off the field. At this point, with this in hand, we had kill Gitrog infinite number of times, so we would never have to worry about double land drops for more than a turn. Our Aether Vial is going to tick up to 6. And at this point, we kind of drew enough lands where I was actually kind of happy. Like, okay, we're doing things. I felt like, okay, now's the time, swing in. Now, this was probably the most meaningful play of the entire game. Because remember, I'm doing 4 points of damage here. Let's keep that in mind. I did 4 points of damage, putting him at 34. So now we Toxic Deluge, get down this, start making blockers. And again, this comes in very, very powerful handy for us in this game. I'm actually, like, I was never really crazy about this card when we were building this deck. Everybody kept telling me, put this in, put this in. I didn't like it. It just didn't do enough. But then, in this game, I actually fall in love with this card because this thing is broken. It's just going to get more, it's going to give you more, it's going to give you more guys, which is going to add up to your artifact totals. And then it's going to let you destroy, artifacts and creatures, which is great. And it does come in very huge amount of handy, especially in tandem with Tezzeret. Being able to build up a large number of tokens and then just killing them, and then just burning with Tezzeret. He gets off a Genesis Wave for like 8 here, which is a really huge amount. Really doesn't hit anything, which is kind of surprising. Like, he hits this, and he hits the Elixir of Immortality. But he misses a lot of things in this play. So, I just wasn't crazy about the play. But it worked in our favor. And I go, okay, well, here we go. Elvish Norn says hi. We're going to go Breya again. Breya's going to give us some more guys. Play our land down tap. There's no reason not to. Get another defender. Like, we've got a stacked field. No one has a field. we're in great position to do pretty much anything we want. Breya and Elesh Norn is basically going to keep things off the field for a large amount of time. Now here's the play that kind of confused me. I think he just wasn't paying attention to Elesh Norn. But obviously this doesn't work. They all come in as 0-1s, they all auto-die, and he gets nothing. I don't think he was paying attention to Elesh Norn. Which is sad, considering this was a huge play for him with the Gaea's Cradle in play. If he had managed to do this, his turn would have continued probably a large amount of distance down the road. And here we go. Destroys the Elesh Norn, which is fine. We do get rid of the bug. Goes in, gets the Koga, destroys Elesh Norn, destroys our commander again. That's fine. We block. It doesn't have trample, so we're not concerned. And the sneak attack is going to finish it, so he doesn't get to manipulate the abilities there. As you see, we draw into Blightsteel Colossus. At this point, like, we're in like some of the best shape we could possibly be in. At this point, like, the game is really looking up for us. The only downside is with this in play, we're not doing him any damage, but we're shooting them down slowly but surely. That was the key in the victory. But the real, like I said, the MVP is certainly Tezzeret for this game. But Blightsteel basically is going to come in a few turns, and it's going to make this game very hard for this guy here to deal with. And you'll see why. But truly, like, if you could have a game where you say there's two MVPs, it would be Gisela. She's just going to turn everything into a glass cannon. His army means nothing. You know, he's going to have like a 27-27, no trample, no haste. I mean, we can shoot it down with this, and then we can trample with Blightsteel. All damage we're doing is doubled. All damage he does is reduced. So I mean, it's just Blightsteel turns itself into just a hulking monster. The only downside is the Aetherval did get blown up, so with no cheap Gisela cop in there. That's the only thing, is like Aetherval doesn't do a whole lot for us. It only matters when like the turns leading into the big cards, it takes way too long. So like Aetherval is like, you either see it turn 1, maybe turn 2, but after turn 2 it doesn't do anything. Unless, like, we do run some copy cards, which you'll see later, but like, so unless you're like an opponent's running something with populate, or like an easy populate ability, you just don't have the ability to really kind of play into the things that you would like to. I opt for the Blightsteel here. Basically, it's just the, hey, don't come this way. I'm basically just trying to manipulate around the fact that I knew that if I get the Blightsteel down, I cast the Wormcoil for free. And now we're just going to hold back Gisela and just kind of wait for the most opportune moment, which is going to come. It certainly does come. We're going to kind of whiff the Tezzeret ult, but I feel like it was still good enough because it does give up a bunch of mana rocks, which does really kind of define the later plays. Here's where I kind of got a little worried. The Crucible comes down, and I'm like, okay, now I can just sack this every turn. Get it back with the Gitrog. You know, he basically loses nothing. I know the way this deck plays. I've played against hundreds of variants of this deck. I mean, this guy, like, nothing but respect. This guy battled like a champion. This card I let live far too long. I should have killed it with this way before I did, and he wouldn't have had nearly the threatening presence he did. I should have also killed this with Breya. But again, it was one of those kind of like oversight moments where it wasn't that important, because he gets a bunch of triggers with this. He's going to basically just turn everything toward us. We're the only real threat at this point. So he's trying to bring us down, and it's just not going to work. It's also one of these moments that's like, I wish we still had access to the Elesh Norn. If we had Graveyard Recursion, which we do, we just didn't see it. Well, we do have Graveyard Recursion, but not for non-artifacts. Well, we don't have like a lot for non-artifacts. So that's a bit of a problem. But I still feel like everything works out perfectly in the grand scheme of things. We're going to put him in a position where he has no choice but to sacrifice. He basically has no choice but to sacrifice the Glacial Chasm to not die just from sheer life loss. Then we blow up the... we're going to blow up the Crucible here in a little bit and basically seal the game. Let's go ahead and close these. I don't think at this point the graveyards didn't really matter. He's going to get a very good card into the grave in a minute, but outside of that, there was really never a situation where we felt like we needed to worry. At this point, I was contemplating -6 on the Blightsteel, get 3 copies of Blightsteel Colossus. But I'm looking, and it's basically I'm contemplating the sheer fact. And again, he uses this to destroy the Wormcoil engine, which I assume was at that point him working in conjunction with us. I don't know what I was going to say. I don't know why this isn't pausing. But him working in conjunction with us to give us some more artifacts. Because other than that, that really served no purpose. Because at no point did we ever swing. Or block with these, so they just stayed around the entire game. Basically, we won the game without ever turning any of these sideways again. Which is crazy, but it worked. It worked to our advantage. But yeah. So he's building up a small army. If we still had the Elesh Norn, none of this would have mattered. These would live, but at the same time they would have been very, very weak. This card is certainly a third MVP. Because again, we're just going to continue to shoot everybody down by a bunch. We bring in the Gisela here. We're going to leave up... we're also going to bring in Berea. Because again, just knocks up our artifact count thanks to Tezzeret. We're not paying the extra commander cost, so we're fine with it. Like at this point, like I felt like, sure, go ahead and keep killing Berea. It just gives me 2 more artifacts. But we basically team up to kill the Crucible and his enchantment to make problems worse. Getting rid of the abundance is a great thing to do here. Again, we drop the Berea. And at this point, like, I felt like we certainly had the win. Nobody else had the necessary forces to swing. This would do nothing. It would basically just be reduced to a 3/3. And it would just basically just get chunked by Blightsteel for no problem whatsoever. Again, no trample, so we're not too concerned. But he's gonna go Shaman. He's gonna go Revelation for a 1 card, which is kind of cute, but it's kind of funny. But he does get into like a bunch of good cards. He gets 3 wishes. He's gonna get the what do you call it? The Soccer Tri-Builder. That was it. I was trying to think of it before it showed, but oh well, it shows how much I know this game. But he gets the Soccer Tri-Builder down. He's gonna go ahead and sack it for another land. Basically, just trying to thin his deck as best he could. He knows. Like, both of these guys know at this point my target is him. Like, they're just innocent bystanders and unfortunate targets to Tezzeret, but it's a necessary thing. It's a necessary evil. But it couldn't, sadly, it just could not be helped. See, and this is where things kind of go downhill. He's got to go all in, right? Like, he has to assume that he's going to get something off of, or like he's got 2 cards in hand. One of those is a Genesis Wave because he returns the Genesis Wave to his hand. Then shuffled his deck back with the Elixir of Immortality. So at this point, he's hoping that he gets something to get this back at the end of the turn. or by the end of the turn. So he's going to Genesis Wave again. Like, I know one is a Genesis Wave. And it's basically, this just goes, oh, hey, I drew this. Okay, I guess I win. Because otherwise, he was going to Genesis Wave for like 22, and we were just going to kind of cry. But the moment that Genesis Wave doesn't work, like, I see this, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, that's whatever, sure. Like, okay, the only other card in your hand is a Genesis Wave. You're not fooling me with tapping out for a bunch of mana. It's just not going to work. Now you're going to go ahead and Genesis Wave, and then you're going to do nothing. He's basically, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of lands, and I'm like, no, can't do that. We're also going to get our expedition map here to go to get our Academy Ruins to make getting artifacts back a little bit better. But again, it's also just thin for us at this point. We're just hoping not to draw blanks. But he chooses not to swing because he just doesn't have anything. He's going to use his card to basically send this to the grave. Very good cards. Basically, just going to be another one of this. And, you know, he's just going to have a giant card in play, and I'm like, I'm not too concerned. But it was one of those kind of weird things. But here, our opponent's going to help us out yet again. But basically, he's going to kill Brea again, and that's fine. And here's, like, everybody was questioning is like why I didn't use this to make multiple Blightsteel, and my response basically was just I was prioritizing not dealing with the Glacial Chasm anymore. But he kills the commander, which was kind of odd, but I was like, sure, why not? I'm just going to cast it for basically for 5 mana thanks to Tezzeret. Because, like, if Tezzeret just said artifact creatures, like, that'd be one thing. But the fact that it just says artifacts, and it's just like, oh, wait. I have all the artifacts I'll ever need. The Phyrexian Metamorph here is, like, kind of funny to me, because it's like, okay, I have target. Give me this. Like, I could have made another Blightsteel, sure. I could have made one of this myself. But my answer at that point was just, hey, give me a bunch of tokens. And then I'm going to play the Academy Ruins. Make them, 1-2. And then we're just going to slowly build up that army. And we're going to build up an army faster than you. A much larger, far more lethal army. And then, because again, we still have access to this. He has to draw into something that's going to get that Glacial Chasm back. If he doesn't, game over. I mean, it's just... Everything he's doing is reduced. Like, the biggest thing he's got is 2/2s and, what, some 5/3s? Yeah, a couple of 5/3s. So, chomp. I mean, it's just like, really? None of this matters. Gisela chomp, at that point, we were sitting very pretty. But again, I was like, okay, well, sure, why not? So I'll get a bunch of tokens. We're going to go ahead and go Brea again. And then I'm like, okay, well, wait. If we just go Tezzeret here with Gisela in play, I think we just win. So I'm trying to do the math, and I'm like, you know what, we're not doing anything else, so just, whatever. Tezzeret, obliterate. And I was just, okay. Tezzeret was like, I got you. So now again, remember that -4 that we dealt earlier pretty much was the defining moment here, because, again, I wasn't concerned with killing him. He was not a threat. He's not a threat. No cards, he's got a bunch of cards in hand, but his deck's just not that powerful. I mean, unless he just finds an out to Blightsteel, we just swing Blightsteel over there. So unless he's got, because I don't even think so he doesn't even have out to Blightsteel, unless he has... Wait, because, he can't even, sneak attack anything in. Nah, he can't even sneak attack anything in. No, he can't. So, I was like, well, maybe you sneak attack something in to just soak up the infect, but... I wouldn't even begin to know what you would have to sneak attack in to soak up at, 22 infect. I mean, other than maybe Platinum Angel, and then you just don't care. Because again, sadly, like I have, I mean, this sure, I have out to Platinum here, but like maybe he's got, you know, Platinum or well, see, and then Platinum dies. Like, so unless he has something to make it, um, unless he would also have some way to like instant speed in the turn, it doesn't matter because he just loses to the infect the minute a minute would leave. So yeah, so yeah, there was just no way anybody was winning this game other than me. Like I sustained field. And so I do realize why I did want to build this deck, because just the consistency of, like, if I don't get Mana Screw, the deck is insanely consistent. The only downside is, like, as you saw, most of the game is, like, I was 1 or 2 cards in hand. Once we got past like, the initial stages, we were just very short on cards. But for the most part, we drew the pieces that we needed, and we were able to just play a huge, just knockout game. You know, able to shoot him down to nothing, able to shoot everybody else down to nothing, all in one game, or all in one ability. And then it was, you know, like I said, then it was just, you know, if it hadn't finished them off, which, like, I think his was the lowest at that point, so if it didn't kill him, it wasn't going to kill them either. He was the second biggest threat, because, again, no cards in hand. So at that point, Blightsteel was just going to finish him off during combat. Well, and actually, like, most of my things could swing except for all of this. So, like, yeah, it's basically just everything goes there just to make sure he dies. He basically untaps, gets nothing from the exchange. Yeah, I mean, so it was basically going to be GG from there. But I want to thank those guys for playing. It was a very enjoyable game. I don't know how we managed to pull that off. We shouldn't have. It was 3 against 1 until everybody realized the Glacial Chasm loop with Crucible and Gitrog was a problem, and we neutralized it effectively with very little communication between us. Because as you guys know, I don't really talk in the chat very much, so everybody kind of got what needed to be done. Because I think within reason, like I was the only one that was going to be able to deal with that. The Glacial Chasm going away just for the hope that he would be able to swing out and win with the Genesis Wave trigger was a risky play. I don't personally know that I would have taken it. I would have paid it, then Gen Wave to see if Genesis Wave even worked, and then played it out from there. But I guess he just didn't want to go that route, maybe? I mean, I was countering either way, so I guess it really didn't matter. But instead of Genesis Wave for 22, maybe you do just enough to leave you the mana for Gitrog. And then you basically play off the fact that you're just going to get your Glacial Chasm back anyway. Maybe that was the play you should have made, but I understand at that point he knew, I think he kind of like knew he had to finish me, but he just couldn't. The counter spell was very clutch, and the fact that, like, even if he could have cast into something else, even if he had the mana for something else, the fact that our counter spell does say, controller can't cast spells this turn is pretty rough. So even if he had the mana for something else at the point that we countered the Genesis Wave, he wouldn't have been able to. And I basically had anticipated the let the Glacial Chasm go, try to Gen Wave, and hope it's enough. Although, if I were to give him some advice, I think his deck's a little too instant sorcery heavy. To be running Genesis Wave as a... I don't want to say crutch, but it was basically used as a crutch. For both of the times that it was being used. It was basically just, get me out of here, doomsday weapon situation. I mean, the go get the Field of the Dead was nice. But if he's going to run Field of the Dead and he's going to run Scape Shift, I feel like you should have also be running. I feel like you should have also been running what is it, Thespian Stage or Vesuva, whichever one it is that copies on enter. So have you 2, and then let all those other things trigger. Even though like they didn't really come into play that much, but still you had a much larger chance of succeeding at that point. But it was a good game. I enjoyed it. So we hope, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as I kind of enjoyed the thrill of playing it. But don't worry, and guys, don't worry. We're going to be back this weekend. Like I said, I'm certainly feeling a lot better, so no worries. So yeah, we'll be back Saturday at our normal scheduled stream, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I potentially will be looking to stream maybe Thursday and Friday this week. I'm only working half days at my normal job. I've got too much overtime, so they're basically making me work half days. Funny enough, so I'm actually getting home around 12, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, and if it wasn't just for the fact that I'm just so exhausted even from working half a day, I'd probably stream every day this week, but it does wear me out, and then just even getting on to play today was kind of a little bit of a push, but I felt like I had a little bit more energy today. So I'm hoping it's kind of just from the sinus drainage has been wearing me out, and maybe when we get past that, we'll be able to stream while I'm taking half days off. But we hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said, if we do stream, you guys should see it pop up, so we hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you have not, so you do catch our streams and all of our future content and videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.